After School Special Podcast. After School Special Podcast. After School Special Podcast. After School Special Podcast.
With more single-parent families and families with both mom and dad working, the time between school's out for kids and work's over for parents is usually 2 or 3 hours. Some parents don't want or can't afford to put their child in an after-school daycare center. So these latchkey children wait home alone for mom and dad. If you're in this situation, both you and your children will feel more secure by reviewing tips on staying safe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the After School Special Podcast. With me, your host, Aaron Smith, one of your hosts. Don and Jon are missing. They are in another dimension, another realm, just, hip-hopping and pop-a-locking all day long. It's very hard for me not to laugh at that as I was saying it. And we want to welcome you Latchkey Kids, to our domain. We don't really have a name for it yet. I guess ass. Welcome, kids, to ass. So, for people that listen to this podcast, become fans and want to reach out to us, you are what we will lovingly call a Latchkey Kid. Now, I'm going to give it a little explanation as to what a Latchkey Kid is and kind of talk a little bit about me as a child being a Latchkey Kid along with my brothers. So Generation X, and for the most part it was, I guess, Generation X was called the Latchkey generation. It also kind of brought millennials in there as well. I know for me and a lot of my friends, we were all Latchkey Kids. Basically a group of people whose personal identity was in part shaped by the independence of being left alone after school. In fact, for me, memories of spending time alone kind of shapes how I parent today. I let them do a lot of stuff. It's really hard to let my kids not get hurt, but, playing carefully and being able to understand their surroundings is really important. B. Bauer wrote in 1991, noting that latchkey kids do about as well as socially and emotionally as youngsters receiving adult supervision following classes, though children in multiple studies didn't show gains compared to their supervised counterparts. Writes Bauer, better outcomes were linked to better home situations. Overall, that's kind of a fucking slap in the face, don't you think? Society's always been giving us the fucking raw end of the deal as latchkey kids. Well, you know what? I'm here to say no more. Rise up. I don't know what percentage technically we would be. Maybe I would say a good 21 to 29% stand up and be recognized. You are a latchkey kid. Let's see here. Deborah Bell attempted to qualify the term unsupervised in the late 90s, noting that concepts of what was supervised and unsupervised varied by observer. In a 4-year study, Bell and colleagues looked at families with parents who were employed full-time and had at least one child in elementary school. Parents and children were interviewed separately about things like after-school routines and loneliness. Bell found that some of the after-school arrangements challenged the neat distinction between supervision and self-care, showing that either or categories might not characterize unsupervised time well. Diversity was spotted in terms of after-school arguments, the caretaker's ability to invite friends over, and even where after-school aloneness took place. Well, we keep getting this idea and concept that we're alone all the time, which in reality, you're never alone. You're never alone. We got friends. As one put it, friends in low places. I will say switch it with latchkey places. I won't say who the person was that sang it, but he does need to tell us where the bodies are. So going forward, that more or less defines a latchkey kid. I gave you the very broad definition of what it is. Angsty feelings of alone, but independence within that. I've always been a very independent person. I know coming home from school and not having, a parent there from the ages of 11 to, going into my teens and whatnot, it wasn't that big of a deal. Whenever there was an emergency, we were able to call our mom via home phone. A lot of you don't know what a home phone is. Touch dial and the one that goes like a wheel. I can't even remember. Rotary phone. So we were always like an earshot away. I just remember a lot of the time, I would get into my own head, my own fantasies and whatnot, whether it be gangsters or, Ninja Turtles or whatever. Those kind of feelings were fading away a little bit more, getting a little more mature, starting to go through whatever prepubescent, going into puberty look was. Never had acne. Never had it. Always had really good skin. I moisturized daily. I'm not going to give you my skincare routine. Sorry. Not going to do it. So growing up, I would watch tons and tons of movies, TV shows, Saved by the Bell, Degrassi, which for all you fans of Canadian melodrama, I think we're going to do an episode on Degrassi. I think I'm the only one that watched it. Don and Jon, I think it's just a little too Canadian, maybe a little too white for them, even though Drake is in it. Makes absolutely no sense. Everyone just knows Drake was in a wheelchair. So, yeah, like being a latchkey kid, going into my own head, this is where I started like ordering food from restaurants for dinner or whatnot. At fucking 12 years old, ordering a thing of meatballs. My mom always had food in the fridge, but I just never ate it. I just wanted, the finer things in life, like most people do. And going forward, I was able to do things on my own. Cook, clean. That was a big thing for me, was always cleaning. I'm a very clean person. I don't like seeing crap on the floor. I used to have buddies of mine, their house was a total disaster until they moved, and then it just kind of, one disaster became another. I can't do crumbs. I can't do food. I can't do sticky floors. Maybe I'm a little bit of a psychopath, when it comes to that, but it's just having a tough go as a kid, being a little psycho when it comes to cleanliness, being able to just be alone, being an adult at 12 or 13, and your brothers are the same. It's like, we're brothers, we love each other, but a lot of the time we kind of had to get shit done on our own on either end. You're alone, but you're never alone, I guess, is what being a latchkey kid is all about. And we offer our hand to all you fellow latchkey kids out there and hope that one day we'll be able to meet up. I don't know, do something. Where would be a good place? How about on one of the tallest mountains in the United States? I'm not exactly sure what that is. We'll go there, and then we'll create a circle, and we will bring the old gods back to life. Anywho, talk about Latchkey Kids. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is going to be a very, very short one because we didn't really have a topic scheduled. I think we were thinking about like what summer means to us. And, lately, as I've looked at the world, it just keeps getting bleaker and bleaker. But then I remember there's weed. So that's always nice. It's not even that it makes it better. It's just completely persistent. The fact that my mind lately has been trailing off like fucking crazy, and I'll get on one subject to the other, and I'm starting to think that maybe I have ADHD and could be possibly the reason for all my problems. The fact that I could never really focus. I'm self-diagnosing on this podcast. This is for you out there. So yeah, the guys, I used to think I could do this on my own. You definitely need like a talking board, especially if you're trying to do improv, the yes and. I can only yes and myself so many times until the joke just runs its course. Jokes comes in threes. I usually go to fours because no one's telling me no. I don't have Don as the voice of reason. And then we got Papa Staff. And I'll be Papa Smee. Yep, that's what I'm going to be. What do you guys think about Sandman? This TV series, I think most people are just like, oh, fuck. Our older listeners will know Sandman by Neil Gaiman, the comic book. The character Dream, who is more or less the god of dreamland. I didn't read the comics, so forgive me. I loved it. I absolutely loved it without even having really any knowledge. And I'm a comic book fan. I just never read the Sandman. I did always get it confused with The Crow, which is two totally separate things and two totally different styles of artwork. I don't know. And I just bought Sandman graphic novel. I'm not exactly sure which one, but I think it's like volume 1 of whatever. I think it's still going on, or it ended in like the middle of the 2000s. But yeah, I thought that was pretty good. And I started watching Peaky Blinders. which didn't understand why I couldn't get through it the first time, but now I kind of do because everything is over-exaggerated in that show, and shit like that just bugs me for some reason. It's not that it's not real or whatever. I don't know. I take issue with it. A lot of the same things happen over and over again. Now, mind you, most stories or movies are like that. That's why I stopped watching a whole season of a show in one day, because then you see all the issues with it. You're looking at it. It's like, wait, this story's already been told. Now they're just fucking telling it again. And it's, sitcom, Scrubs was the same thing. There's multiple episodes where it's dealing with the same subject matter, and it just kind of goes, off the rails. Not to say that Scrubs is a bad show. I love Scrubs. Love you, Scrubbies. Zach Braff, his movie Garden State changed my life for a summer, because then I'm like, I want to be a filmmaker. And then I looked at how films were actually made, and his was more or less... I remember I said something to the effect like, I really like Garden State as a movie, and then my professor calling me on my bullshit, and it's like any movie that puts in time, whether it be a clock or... Because most of us just have phones that we can go off of, but like a digital clock, and you got to hit the button on the alarm, and if that's going off, because then there's harder ways of representing time. You want to be challenged when you're a filmmaker. And then in reality, it was just... I realized like all the tropes... film school tropes, he did. Yeah, we're going to get on this subject. My issues with Garden State. If I had a bunch of money from a TV show that I made, I would do the same thing. I would make a movie. Now, mind you, it would probably be about nothing, because like this episode in particular is literally about nothing. I go from Latchkey Kids to worshiping old gods to eating lasagna. Well, no, lasagna was first, then old gods, because you have to do it in that order in order for them to arise. And the old gods are just Garfield and Heathcliff. That's it. Nothing else. And if you don't, praise their name, their holy name, hate Mondays, and get a skeleton tattooed on your arm, then you are worthless. So join us. Join the Latchkey Kids. Have a beer. Have a shot on you, because I'm not paying for your alcohol. I don't drink. But you're one of us. What is it? Gooble gobble, geeble gobble, one of us. And I made my kids Latchkey Kids, because technically they are. I work full-time, and so does my girlfriend, so I end up picking them up after school. But they are supervised, and technically we were too, in some respects, but then there were other times where we just take the bus home, and we just took the bus home. I had a key and opened the door, and we hung out. I made eggs, and didn't burn the house down, luckily. There was one time when I think it was like Latchkey or so, we had come home from school. I set a cup on fire and almost burned the house down. The carpet was totally destroyed and ruined, but at that point my mom was so exhausted. She was like, well, at least you didn't kill anyone. That Betty Archuleta, hard-working mom, works hard for her kids, works hard every single day, still, just like all of our madres out there, our hard-working madres. I don't know. This episode was kind of all over the place. That's why I need Don and Jon, because then I go off the rails in some respects, just trying to, throw jokes in there. Are my jokes funny? I think they are, so I'm going to keep saying them. And there's probably one person out there that's, shut the fuck up, you big-headed buffoon. You wouldn't know that I had a big head because you don't know what I look like. Well, yeah, you kind of do, and actually I have a big head on there. It's mostly head on the YouTube videos. And by the way, go by and say hi. We getting lots of views. Pretty sure, though, that they are learning English via these videos. And if that is the case, this is to you guys and gals out there, if you are learning to use this in English. The best swear to give someone, you could call someone a cunt. I know some people take offense to that. How about fuck nut? Fuck nut. There you go. That's a good one. It's fuck, the word fuck, and the word nut. If there is no word for nut in whatever language, pistachio, fuck pistachio. Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyways, we appreciate you listening and learning English off of our videos, because without you guys, I don't know if I could keep doing this, and I appreciate it. And to our listeners of the podcast, we love you guys so much. Keep listening. Like I said, Don and Jon left me to my own devices, and I kind of, what Don and I used to do in college was like last minute it a little bit. I had really no theme for this other than maybe explaining what a latchkey kid was, and I think I did pretty much. It's a kid that's left alone after school, no parental supervision, yet they are normal in every single way, shape, and form, and beautiful. You are all beautiful latchkey kids.
Hey babies, you liking the show? Well, thanks. Leave a 5-star rating and a comment, please. Do you want to see the guys' faces? Well, they got YouTube videos. It comes out every Wednesday before the episode comes out on Friday. You can watch this podcast on any major platform you listen to. Rate 5 stars and comment. Thanks, babies.
Fuck nut. Fuck nut. There you go. That's a good one.